Okay, let's be clear. The best way to learn Pathfinder 2e is with the beginner box, and for most players to use the pre-generated characters it comes with. You can run the adventure out of the box, and it holds your hand and teaches the GM and the players the rules as you go along. What I'm talking about is how best to learn the game on your own, and not everybody learns the same. And when you're learning a system like Pathfinder, there's no need to limit yourself to one way of learning. When you read rules, it helps a lot to commit them to your memory by actually playing the game and seeing those rules in action. There's a solo adventure in the beginner box, but that only gives you a taste of the rules of Pathfinder 2e. Meanwhile, there is a free game on Steam that everybody can get that I think is one of the best ways to learn the system. It's called Quest for the Golden Candelabra, and it's made by one person named Petr Hudicek. So I'll go over this excellent little game and explain why it's a great way to learn Pathfinder. I am Ronald, the rules lawyer. I am a lawyer who also has been GMing for the last 13 years Pathfinder 1st edition, 2nd edition, D&D 5th edition, and Starfinder. And I also taught for 8 years an after-school, middle school class for TTRPGs. So teaching is in my blood. I constantly did it with kids all the time. So I think that makes me particularly qualified in the subject of teaching Pathfinder 2e. Also, I want to make clear that I actually am not sponsored to do this video. I did it entirely because I think it's a good resource for the community. So what is Quest for the Golden Candelabra? It appears to be one person's passion project, and there's a comically long playthrough that me and Swing Whipper and one of my players in one of my paid campaigns did on the highest difficulty level of the game, which is supposed to be about 40 minutes to complete, but we took nearly 4 hours to do so as we optimized every single decision. We got a healthy challenge from the game, and if you're interested in watching it, I have a link in the video description. Now, it's clearly not Baldur's Gate 3 level of production values, but when we streamed live, we were pleasantly surprised by how solidly it was built, and particularly by the UI, the user interface, for a one-person project. And it dawned on me while streaming that this is actually an excellent way to learn Pathfinder 2e for the following people. People who are reading the rules and just want to nail down their knowledge of the system and see it in action. People who have trouble learning something simply by reading rules. And it's very common for Pathfinder 2e GMs to want to recruit players but have trouble doing so because those players have heard, oh, Pathfinder's that very complicated, unapproachable game. And this game actually makes it quite approachable and demystifies it, I think. So what is Quest for the Golden Candelabra? Well, it's a very short, simple campaign where you go through 5 encounters that are linked by voice-acted cutscenes. You play 4 characters at level 1. There's a sorcerer, a fighter, a rogue, and a cleric. There are 3 different difficulty levels. Easy gives everybody the weak adjustment, if you're familiar with Pathfinder rules. Then there's medium, and then there's hard, which gives you encounters that are beyond severe, we found during the live stream. They're tuned that way because if you die, you get to redo the encounter. So I'll just go through the first encounter and explain why this is a good way to learn. And our party encounters 2 kobolds. The first thing you'll notice is the UI. Anyone who has played Solasta, Crown of the Magister, a D&D 5e game, will recognize the approach to this UI. So one can see how the 3-action economy works. These 3 rectangles here in the corner represent your 3 actions, and if she were to move, let's say she moves up to this kobold, then she uses up one of her 3 actions, as you can see. As she does more things, these rectangles will darken. Her main actions, which include weapon attacks, and if she were a spellcaster, her spells would be here. Then her skill actions and item actions are over here. She can attack the kobold either by clicking strike or by clicking the kobold itself, which gives her context-sensitive choices. Here the cleric can cast the heal spell and has the option of spending 1, 2, or 3 actions on it, with the description on the right-hand side of what each version does. And if your character has a chance to do a reaction, like here the fighter can raise his shield as a reaction from one of his class feats, then that option will pop up and you get to make a decision. The next thing that's great for learning is the information the game gives you. First, you can hover over any character, and on the right side you get to see a stat block of them. This is also true for monsters as well, which some players may not want to see. We milked every bit of information we could for our live stream though. In the combat log, all the dice rolls are recorded. And here, where the Kobold Warrior hit the fighter, I can hover over that, and it shows me the die roll. And also all of the modifiers that were involved, including all the math that lies behind the Kobold's attack bonus, and all the modifiers that apply to the fighter's armor class, including here, the -2 circumstance penalty to his AC because he was flanked by the kobolds. Also, if the sorcerer goes up and tries to flank this kobold and tries to strike it with a fist, you get that same breakdown, and also see the percentage chance that you'll have the 4 degrees of success. If she wants to demoralize the kobold, it gives her a similar breakdown. Hovering over many things gives you information about it. She can hover over any of her spells, and you can see each spell is fully described on the right-hand side. The next reason this is a good way to learn the game is that it's quite faithful to the rules. So our rogue goes up. If she were to try to grapple the target, she would not be able to. It's grayed out. And the reason for that is because her hands are full. You can see here on the left what she's holding in her 2 hands. If I click this, she has the option of stowing it, which takes an action, or dropping it to the ground, which takes a free action. So if she drops it, she's now able to do that grapple on the kobold. And she misses. Not only that, she critically failed, which makes her prone, and she now has to spend an action to stand. Another key action you can do is the delay action. You can put yourself somewhere else in the initiative order. So the cleric will delay, and she gets to place herself anywhere in the initiative order, as you can see here. As you can see, it enforces the rules for interacting with objects and enforcing handedness. Between combats, you can change what you're holding in your hands. So if the fighter wants to not have a shield and have a healing potion in hand, he can do that. Or he can have a short bow. However, at the time of this video, there are a few small deviations from the rules, and they're laid out in the manual that you can access on the title screen. I'll show them on the screen right now so you can see them. And the last reason it's a great way to learn Pathfinder is the spread of the classes we see. We have the classic 4, with the exception of the sorcerer, who's standing in place of the wizard. But that's fairly close, and it's also an easier class to play. So we get the fighter with his reactions, we get the rogue with sneak attack, we get the cleric with the heal spell and the bless spell with its increasing radius, and we get the sorcerer with some offensive spells and also a focus spell. Of course, this being a passion project of one person, there are limitations to this, and one of them being, obviously, the fact that you have 4 pre-generated characters. You cannot make your own. But this is a free game after all, and the person who made this is developing a paid game that I'll talk about at the end, and that has character creation. Before you play this game yourself, just a few things to learn about the UI. You can use the arrow keys or WASD to move the map around. In general, hovering is your friend. You get lots of information that way. Generally, you want to do left click to do things and right click to cancel things. When you want to move, you want to click your destination square a second time. There's a way to change this in the settings if you don't like having to do that. And to end your turn, you can use the spacebar or the enter key or middle mouse button. So that's my overview of Quest for the Golden Candelabra. It's a great teaching tool for if you want to learn and nail down your knowledge of Pathfinder 2e, and it's a great suggestion for other people who are struggling to learn the system. Meanwhile, if you want to play more than what's offered in the free game, the developer is also developing this game called Dawnsbury Days and has a Patreon while he's developing it. You can actually access an early build and play it now if you support now. There are frequent updates on the Patreon page. This is from just a week ago. For character creation, he has the goal of having the human, elf, and dwarf available, and it's going to be possible to mod character options, though some programming skill is going to be required apparently. And there's a sample mod of the kobold ancestry. Excitingly, there is the barbarian, the ranger, and the kineticist. Apparently you can play all 6 elements of the kineticist now. Again, it runs from levels 1 to 4 with 20 encounters. There's going to be tools to make maps and encounters pretty easily, which sounds exciting to me. It sounds like it could actually be an environment that people can share simple adventures in. I did send a message to him and heard back. He currently does not have plans for an endless dungeon mode, but is not ruling it out either. And he says the same thing about implementing levels 5 and beyond. So that's it for my video today. I think that this game is a great tool for learning the system. So check it out and also share it with others who you think will benefit from it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe as I put out more content about Pathfinder and continue my Pathfinder Law School series to teach the game and also talk about why I think it's a great system. If you haven't yet, join my Discord community. We're now over 4,000 people where you can talk Pathfinder and other gaming. It's also a chance to play Pathfinder because we have a drop-in play system where you can take your character from adventure to adventure. Also support my Patreon where you get early access to videos and exclusive access to many videos, including me running Pathfinder 2e for D&D YouTubers. So that's it. I have been Ronald the Rules Lawyer, and I'll see you next time.